Good evening, everybody. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people. Today is June 30th, 2020, and I want to share with you about the final two eclipses of 2020, and I want to share with you the importance of the final two eclipses in 2020 and how they line up with God's appointed days and God's appointed seasons. Okay, and this is something very important within the signs in the heavens. When the signs come and they line up with the appointed times of God, this is a very important understanding. From the very beginning, the first book of the Bible, first chapter, Genesis 1:14, God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night. Let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and years." When we look at the purpose of God in giving us the sun, the moon, the stars, they are given to bring light to the day and light to the evening, but it is also the purpose of God to give us the calendar, the signs and the seasons for days and for years, for understanding the times. And so if we look at this verse in the Hebrew, or the importance of the word season, okay, if we look at the word season, 4150, it is moed. This is the word for season. It means appointed time, place, or meeting. Okay? So if we read this with the understanding of what season is, God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for understanding the appointed seasons, times, and the appointed place and the appointed meeting." The appointed time of God. This is the word used in Genesis 1:14. Let them be for signs and for seasons and for days. Moed. Okay. So I want to make some connections for you. On November 29th, 1947, this is the beginning of Daniel's calendar, when it says in the book of Daniel in verse 25, Daniel chapter 9 verse 25, it says, from the order to restore Jerusalem. 70 weeks are determined from the order to restore Jerusalem. So here is the order that was given even before Independence Day took place on May 14th, 1948. We had this partition plan for Palestine. This is the beginning marker of Daniel's calendar. The order to restore Jerusalem. The day, look at the date, November 29th, 1947. 2020, there is a lunar eclipse on November 29th and 30th. This lunar eclipse lines up with the day of Israel's rebirth from 1947, the order to restore Jerusalem, the Palestinian partition plan. We have a lunar eclipse. God put the signs in the heavens to give us understanding of the days and the times and the seasons and the days and the years. Okay? And so a lunar eclipse that lines up on the calendar with such an important moment in Israel's history is something we need to watch. Now, I want to share with you, if we go back to 1947, on the eve of Israel's order to restore Jerusalem, the partition plan of Palestine, there was also a penumbral eclipse on November 27th and 28th of 1947. So the order to restore Jerusalem came together over the next 24 to 48 hours over a lunar eclipse. And the lunar eclipses are signs for Israel. So this is an amazing piece of information that not only in 1947, together with the order to restore Jerusalem, there was a lunar eclipse, but in 2020, there's also, exactly on the day, November 29th and 30th, a lunar eclipse. And so, Moed is season, meaning appointed time, an appointed place, or an appointed meeting. Okay? And how old is Israel from the order to restore Jerusalem on November 29th, 2020? 73. This will be Israel's 73rd birthday. And 73 is a gathering, it's a contest, it's a struggle in the soul, a gathering, an appointed time, an appointed place, an appointed meeting, and 73 is a gathering. Then we have this understanding of the two great American eclipses from August 21st, 2017 to April 8th, 2024. If you add up the number of days between the two eclipses, it's 2,422 days. And if you go to the exact middle marker, it's 1,211 days. And so from the first American eclipse, August 21st, 2017, total solar eclipse, you go exactly to the halfway marker, and there's another total solar eclipse on December 14th, and going forward another 1,211 days, April 8th, 2024, is another total solar eclipse. And these, this 7-year time frame, actually 6 years and 6 months, 6 weeks and 6 days, is an amazing time frame from everything we were watching in 2017, the Great American Eclipse, the Revelation 12 sign, the chipping party that took place where 50 workers in Wisconsin received microchips voluntarily. That happened on August 1st, 2017. That was actually the 9th of Av, the day that the temples were destroyed. Very symbolic of the destruction of the temple, as they are microchipping the workers and people receiving the mark of the beast, the abomination of desolation, the defilement of the temple. Okay, so this time frame, the beginning of the tribulations in 2017, is so powerful. So many things were happening, so many signs, even going back to 2014, 2015. If we go back to 2013, what happened on November 29th in 2013? It was the perihelion of Comet ISON. So we have another marker 7 years ago that was an amazing sign in the heavens on November 29th. and November 30th, 2013. A 7-year marker to this upcoming eclipse, which is the 73rd birthday of Israel. Okay. So this X marks the spot between two solar eclipses. The middle marker is another total solar eclipse. On December 14th, there's a total solar eclipse. It's Hanukkah. Okay. And the 3 days in question, the first day, August 21st, marks 40 days of repentance leading to the Day of Atonement. From the first day of Elul to the Day of Atonement is 40 days. So that's a 40-day time of repentance. Hanukkah is the day of the virgins and the time of the oil. The miracle of the oil is the representation of Hanukkah. It is also the representation of the Antichrist, Antiochus Epiphanes, who defiled the temple in Israel and put an altar of Zeus. The abomination of desolation took place on Hanukkah. That is what Jesus mentioned in Matthew chapter 24. When you see the abomination of desolation, according to the prophet Daniel, and then it talks about fleeing into the wilderness, fleeing into the desert, flight in winter, the shortening of the days, and that's all connected to the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. So what do we have between November 29th and December 14th? We have the appointed times of God marked by the rebirth of Israel, the Palestinian partition plan on November 29th, 1947, and we have Hanukkah, which is the time of the abomination. And it's the feast of dedication, which Jesus it's not only mentioned in John chapter 10, but Jesus was in the temple teaching on the feast of dedication, on Hanukkah, in John chapter 10. And so we have this listed in the New Testament as an important feast that brought Jesus into the temple while they were celebrating the feast of dedication. Okay. And so December 14th is Hanukkah, and November 29th is the anniversary of the rebirth of Israel, the order to restore Jerusalem. And so we have 2 eclipses coming up. The last 2 eclipses of 2020 are connected to the appointed times of God. Okay? The appointed times of God. And this is all leading up to the great conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter representing the man-child, Saturn representing the one who devours the children. Okay, the great conjunction between the red dragon and the man-child. And we have all of these signs coming up in December. Add to this the lunar eclipse that's taking place on November 29th. See how this is all lining up together. November 29th, the 73rd birthday of Israel from the Palestinian partition plan. Then we have a total solar eclipse on December 14th. Then we have the Geminid meteor shower on December 14th. And 7 days later, we have the Jupiter-Saturn great conjunction. And that represents the culmination of the Revelation 12 sign. Hanukkah and the winter solstice, the escape and the rise of the Antichrist. And if you go exactly as written in Revelation chapter 12, verse 6, from the sign of the dragon, the woman is taken into the wilderness, where she is given refuge for 1,260 days. So the day of the dragon, December 21st, 2020, adding 1,260 days, it brings us to the 27th day of the second month. And that's the last day of the flood. The day the flood ended on the second in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. Genesis 8:14, as in the days of Noah. And this is all shown in Matthew chapter 24. Pray that your flight be not in winter or on a Sabbath. Okay, so just as it's entering winter, just before winter, we have the timing of the abomination of desolation. We have Hanukkah, which represents the oil in the lamps of the virgins, the midnight hour, the coming of the bridegroom. It says, for then there will be great tribulation. It's giving us the season of when the great tribulation will begin. Pray that your flight will not be in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great tribulation, such has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will. Unless those days had been cut short, no life would have been saved, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. And we have the shortest day of the year is the winter solstice. Flight not in winter, nor on the Sabbath, great tribulation beginning at this time. This all began in Matthew 24:15 when Jesus was talking specifically about the abomination of desolation, and that happened on Hanukkah. Okay, so everything we're seeing within Matthew chapter 24, it even gives us the season, flight in winter, the abomination of desolation, and then it gives us the shortening of the days, the winter solstice being the shortest day of the year. Unless those days had been cut short, no life would have been saved. For the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. And we have the 1260 days connected to December 21st, 2020. So we're watching fall of this year, late fall, up until the beginning of winter. November 29th, the anniversary of Israel, there's a lunar eclipse. Midweek Hanukkah, December 14th, there's a total solar eclipse and a meteor shower. December 21st, the winter solstice, the great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. Okay, so when God puts his eclipses in the heavens on the appointed times, these are the signs that we need to watch. Okay, these are the signs that we need to watch. So I pray you guys are blessed. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people, the sign of his coming revealed.